Hey everybody, this is Breniger. There's been some interest in culturing blackworms on my YouTube channel, so I've decided to do a video explaining how that's done. First, get several containers and fill them with used aquarium water. Then, add a substrate of cheesecloth or pieces of brown paper. Brown paper bag decomposes into water and provides some sustenance for the worms. This isn't necessary, however. The worms will eat any fish food. The substrate I currently have is algae and perhaps flux, which I scraped off the bottom of my fry starter tank with some brown paper bag pieces added. So here's cheesecloth, you could use that. Also, you cut up the brown paper bag into tiny pieces and use that as a substrate. Next, you want to purchase a Blackworm Culture either online or preferably at a local pet store. I purchased my culture for about $5. And you want to acclimate these worms to the water by floating the bag of worms and gradually adding water to the jar or from the jar over the course of about an hour. This may not be necessary, as I've had worms survive in my aquarium gravel for months after being dumped into the tank. Keep a supply of used aquarium water on hand. Blackworms need regular water changes to survive. Their waste will soil the water quickly and the whole culture will suddenly crash if it becomes too polluted. I've had this happen and it creates an incredible stinking mess. Now, I switched my blackworm culture from the bread basket, and I used an air stone, and I did daily water changes to prevent that crash. But now I have blackworms in 4 1-gallon jars. Now, after a water change, I add a tiny bit of any fish food. Now, eventually the worm's waste is going to build up, so you want to strain your worms and substrate in a metal mesh sink strainer. And you can actually rinse the worm culture substrate with worms under tap water briefly without killing them. Make sure it's the cold water, and then just dump them back into the culture. Now, I use a turkey baster to catch worms into a jar, and then I take the room temperature used aquarium water and fill that jar back up for convenient use. Now, I feed my fish in a glass jar, and that way, after they eat the worms out of the substrate, I can use the turkey baster to remove the substrate and put it back in the worm culture. Comments, suggestions, all welcome. Thank you for watching. I'll see you real soon on the next one.